We are live. Hi, everyone. I'm super excited right now to be interviewing Brian Richards, who's the founder of an awesome company called Sauna Space. And we met at an event about a month ago in Austin, and he gave an incredible personal story about why he created and founded this company. So the title is probably going to be a bit weird for some, but I chose those words carefully, believe it or not. But Brian's going to explain more about what this means. But you may have heard of mitochondria, cell health, feeding our cells at the cellular level, or feeding the body at the cellular level, making sure we can detoxify. And we talked about inflammation and antioxidants, etc. So Brian's going to jump right in now and explain why he founded this company, because it's really cool, and I think you'll find it really useful. So Brian, thank you for coming on. Super cool having you here.
Thanks for having me, Neil. Yeah, I enjoyed meeting you at Austin about a month ago now, I think. The story of this company starts out with my story. I had a problem. I had some health issues. I had toxin-related health issues, and they're no secret. I had acne on my torso, so adult acne. Had insomnia and mind racing, where I would sit in bed and it would take me up almost an hour sometimes to fall asleep. And of course, not having good sleep thereafter. And I had what I realize now was adrenal burnout. I didn't know it was that then. It was just kind of lethargic and foggy in my brain, even though I was always a math and science guy. I always excelled at school and academics. But at the end of my college career, about 2008, 2009 or so, I just started to feel all this stuff. And then, of course, the acne is very visible. And it was weird. It was clustered around my kidneys. It was not visible on my face or my limbs. So I had all these problems, and medical doctors that I went to wanted to prescribe prescription drugs. Accutane, as many people are aware of now, is a very nasty drug. It's still routinely prescribed, even though it's inextricably linked to liver cancer and liver failure. I actually took that for a while when I was in high school. So there's all these petrochemical drugs that they're offering you for pain management and symptom removal, and it didn't sound logical to me. Again, I'm a kind of a right brain guy, even though I have a creative side to me too. I wanted something that made more sense. So I did my own research. I started to take my own health decisions into my own hands, just like I do with money and personal things as well. I didn't abdicate my responsibility anymore to somebody else. I wanted to know what was wrong with me and how do I fix it. So I went on my journey, my online research journey, as many people, do nowadays when they're not satisfied with what, the expert opinions are saying. And I came across this concept of detoxification naturally through a special type of sauna, the electric lamp sauna. So basically this dates back to Dr. Kellogg in his sanitariums in the early 20th century. He was the first guy to use the electric lamp to shine it on the body to heal. And now we know it's mitochondrial activation, this light therapy that we're getting out of this incandescent light that is just like the sun. So I built my own incandescent lamp sauna. It's 4 250-watt heat lamps in a small enclosure that holds the air above 100 degrees. And I made a little sauna tent, but the heat source is the incandescent electric lamp. So I made it really, really ugly, really ghetto, and incredibly effective. So my insomnia went away within days. And that was within days. It definitely improved over time, but within a couple of days, it was more or less gone. And I would use the sauna right before bed. And now I know that near infrared light relaxes the neurons. It returns you to this parasympathetic rest and digest state you're designed to sleep in. If you're not in that, because you're in sympathetic dominance, you're not going to sleep well. This is how we're designed to sleep. So we need to relax our nervous systems every day back into this restful state. We don't do that nowadays. So of course that was my problem as well. So beyond the immediate recovery of the insomnia and the mind racing stuff, my mind felt calmer too. Over 6 months or more, all of my other things resolved. My acne completely went away. My skin started to look even better, like blotchiness and stuff went away. And I turned back and I realized, you notice small improvements every day, but after 6 months, I realized that my energy levels were awesome. Were where I thought they should be. And I realized that I had adrenal burnout and it was now gone. I was thinking clearer, was more patient, less irascible, more able to focus, so better concentration. Clearly, some improved cognitive functioning was going on. And now I know that that's the heat and the light. So we're giving a dual therapy here. Heat is detoxifying. The light is re-optimizing our cell functioning through these mitochondria. And than that, but that's a really simple way to think of it. Heat and the light re-optimized sun, what we've evolved to benefit from for a billion years. So I stumbled into this.
Brian, can I interrupt? Can I interrupt 2 seconds? Something cut out then, so we probably missed a really important thing then. Just for like 3 seconds, you were talking about the mitochondria. Could you just say that once more? Because we kind of cut out.
Yeah. So we know what we know nowadays that the ancients understood. All ancestral cultures understood this, and we've lost the knowledge. We've kind of now regained it through modern studies. We eat light at the cellular level. In fact, our mitochondria, our powerhouses of the cell, they can eat near-infrared light and red light, and it gives the cell energy directly without sugar. And it's based on this light therapy system we have. So we have this light receptor protein in every mitochondria in our body. We have thousands of mitochondria in every cell of the body. And it not just energizes the cell and gives you and start the nitric oxide cycle running. It has these indirect effects that we call mitochondrial activation or mitochondrial functions. And they are, in short, all sorts of types of healing. So the mere stimulus of near infrared and red light turns the mitochondria into an intelligent healer in the cell. And you can do that with every cell of the body. So we're talking nerve cells, kidneys, bones. Every cell of the body has the same cellular reoptimizing system that includes regenerating the cell, promoting inflammatory mediation in the cell, boosting cell metabolism, and also repairing the genes of our cells. So anti-aging systems built into every cell of the body right there. But it takes this near-infrared red lights to do that. And that's what we call collectively light therapy. All these different healing effects that we get from red and near-infrared light. And it's all built into every cell of the body. That's why it's so exciting that it doesn't matter like who you look like and what your symptom profile is or your disease profile is. At the cellular level, you have this healing system right there, ready to go. If we can get this. I love this. So it's this ancestral experience with light that we just don't get anymore, Neil. We can go through some of the problems. Just fluorescent lighting above me.
Yeah. Can I just ask a quick question? Because for anyone who hasn't heard of the word mitochondria, can we just quickly explain it, like in simple terms? My understanding is it's basically the battery component, it's like the energy component of the cell. Can you kind of elaborate on that?
Yes, that's the most simple way to think about it is it produces the majority of energy for the cell. All animal cells, or a real all eukaryotic cells have it. So it's something that plants and animals have, and it produces the majority of the energy of the cell. But that's actually its most base function. It has much more important functions. So the mitochondria is special. It has its own DNA. It's its own little single-celled organism. So if we look back from evolutionarily a billion years ago, we had this agreement that was made between this cell that had no mitochondria and the mitochondria that had basically no castle to protect it. And the single cell said, hey, Mr. Mitochondrion, come on in here and I'm going to protect you. And in return, you produce energy for me. And so the mitochondria said, okay. And he came inside and he's getting protected. And in return, he's increasing the energy capacity of the cell dramatically. And so our lives wouldn't be what they are today if we didn't have all this energy that was produced as a result of having this specialized energy producer in the cell. But what most people don't understand, what we don't learn in high school biology, is that there was another component to that agreement. So the symbiotic relationship that was started, the cell said, not only I need you to come in and produce energy for me, Mr. Mitochondrion, I also need you to repair me when I break. And we see that. So the mitochondria already had this light receptor system in it. And that was part of the deal that, hey, man, you come inside and you're going to make my energy and you're going to fix me when my DNA breaks down and my genes start, my epigenetics. So the state of my DNA starts degrading. and as well as all these other effects. So what people don't understand, and they need to understand, is the mitochondria is the ultimate healer of all cellular things. And it needs near infrared light and red light to activate that healing system. So
awesome.
That's what we got 5 hours a day and 20,000 years ago. Near infrared light into every cell of the body. Yes, sir. So
would I just be able to interject at this point? Because you've mentioned two things that I really think we should just build on quickly. Firstly, epigenetics is something that we need to really all understand. It's our ability to we can be predisposed to getting any kind of illness and disease, whether it's cancer or type 2 diabetes or, heart attacks and strokes. There might be a predisposition to getting something, but with epigenetics, we can completely override those genes by changing what we do,
right?
How we
for better and for worse.
Exactly, by what we eat, by how we move our bodies, how we, cell
basically, epigenetics is kind of a newer term. For people who are not familiar with it, it's also easy to understand. The genes is the genetics. That's the blueprint of the body. The epigenetics is how we read this blueprint and build our house, which is our cell. And so this process of building the cell is dependent on what's available and what's not from the DNA. So there's epigenetics, there's this architectural state and optimal formation of the DNA that we want. And when we have that, our cell is made perfectly. As our gene transcription, so how we copy the genes degrades over time, our epigenetic state is said to degrade. And so our proteins are not made perfectly and our cell is not kind of regulating and making itself perfectly. So this is the degradation that we get over time through age, which is oxidative stress and toxic exposure, which is a huge part of modern life. It's this toxic exposure. So it's not really in our genes. The blueprint doesn't matter. All that matters is how is it read and how is it being interpreted. And this is a very complicated process with a lot of quality control systems that are constantly breaking down as it's constantly trying to be regenerated and reoptimized. So that's the key here is epigenetics determines the state of our cellular health and not the genes. And like you said, we can turn them on and we can also turn them off. So toxic exposure and too much stress will turn off the good genes or the good state, the good DNA, and kind of activate the bad DNA. And it's crucial that people understand that this goes both ways. Like you said, you can re-optimize your epigenetics, which is anti-aging you, making your cell young and perfect again. Or you can, I would say, accelerate the degradation of your epigenetics through bad lifestyle, too much toxic exposure, too much junk light, and no restoration, no detoxification, no healing, and no investment in oneself.
I love everything you just said. Super cool. I want to kind of simplify this quickly as well, and it's thinking about cells. So we often forget that we are made up of trillions of cells, like 30 odd trillion cells, depending on how big we are. And I can't remember the scientist who it was, but they said cells need 4 things to thrive. Like every part of our body is made up of cells. They need 4 things to thrive. Oxygen, number 1. Water, number 2. Nutrients, number 3. And the ability to eliminate waste is number 4. And a lot of us are going wrong at number 1 because no one's moving anymore because of sedentary lives and sat at desks or on couches all day long. So the number 1 reason for chronic disease can actually be under oxygenation of cells. Then the water is mostly toxic because it's dead by the time it gets out of your tap or faucet if you're in America. There's all these chemicals and hormones and antibiotics and all this rubbish and crap in the water. Which is why I've invested in a decent water machine. And then there's nutrients. And by the time we've actually eaten a lot of what we're eating, it's depleted of nutrients because the quality of the soil has really diminished. And then there's all the pesticides and herbicides and fungicides and insecticides. And then there's cooking. And then there's all these different things that affect the nutrient capacity of the food that we're eating. And a lot of us aren't really eating to think about the nutrient capacity of the food. We're eating to become full. And I said this in the last Facebook Live, actually, is an expert on Food Matters, on the documentary Food Matters. They said, we're stuffing our faces and we're starving. We're obese and we're starving because none of us are thinking about the nutrient capacity of the food. So number 3, we're not getting enough nutrients, so we're developing all this inflammation, all this toxicity, which is another word for inflammation. And then 4, because cells require, as you were saying earlier, they require heat, and the lymphatic system requires that your body raises temperature a bit, and the lymphatic system requires us to move.
It requires locomotion, yes.
Yeah, it requires, exactly. The lymphatic system is part of the immune system, which is responsible for getting rid of dead cells, dead cancer cells, dead everything, not nice stuff in the body. And our body has to move. We have to be active for that to work. And a lot of us don't realize that. Like with the cardiovascular system, the heart and blood vessels and arteries, etc., that has the pump, which is the heart to get it around the body, but the lymphatic system doesn't have a pump, so it requires movement. And then we have heat, which is what you're specializing in, which is another way to detoxify the body, which is what the lymphatic system does, and detoxifies the body. So I just wanted to interject because I think I love simplifying things. And when we look at just the fact that we're made up of cells and they require those 4 things, I think it's much easier to be more mindful about the choices that we make with our diet, with movement, with getting enough oxygen into our lungs, and really trying to stay away from the toxins as much as we can. And then we look to people like you for ways to really optimize the cell health and look at ways of, the sauna. So I hope that was cool to interject with that, but I wanted to kind of
it is important to keep it simple. We're overloaded with information, and what do we do to address? All I ever cared about is what's my problem. I want a solution to my problem.
Yeah.
I really, when I had a big problem, I didn't care about anybody else. I didn't want to take care of anybody else. I wanted to solve myself, and that's what everybody else is. And I think that's completely legitimate. We all want to look and feel better. And these 4 things you mentioned, they are the 4 areas. And the question is really understanding each one in turn. Light is very simple. Light is the ultimate nutrient. It energizes your cells. It promotes cellular healing. It has all these effects that we're discussing, this mitochondrial activation. So people need to think of light as a nutrient. And so we want the best quality light that we can get, and we want it every day, just like we want the best quality ingestible nutrients. Light is eaten by the cells directly. It doesn't have to be put into your mouth. You just shine it on your naked body, and it gives you energy, and it activates all these healing systems. Very important for daily maintenance of the health, daily restoration of the health of the cell. So light, and heat too. That's a little bit it's a little bit more complicated than that, but the cell is designed to get heat every day. It's designed to get this little heat shock every day, which is just raising cell temperature 3 degrees. And you have all these wonderful detoxification responses that occur when you do that. So the lymphatic system is the sewer system of the body that you'd mentioned. That's crucial for getting the toxins, once they're out of the cell, to the organs of elimination, getting them out of the body. But the first step is getting the toxin out of the cell, which is what heat does. So we heat shock the cell, and we want to do it, of course, when we're relaxed, not at the gym. You're not looking and feeling better at the gym. Since your nervous state is in the stressful fight or flight, you are running, all of your cell energy is going toward locomotion and towards cooling, which is very energy intensive. It's only when we sweat passively, when we're resting, when we sweat, our nervous system is in this rest and digest. That's why we call it rest and digest. So we need to be relaxed and sweating. So we want to be enjoying this sweat and this heat in a passive sense. That's when the cells go to work, rebuilding, detoxifying, rejuvenating their parts. So we want heat. We want heat when we're passive, and that's how ancestral humans had it. They had it from the sun many hours a day. They just passively had a nice passive sweat as they were relaxing. They had a little bit of get up and go when they had to find their food or respond to threats, but otherwise a ton of relaxation every day, sweating under the sun, near infrared light. So light and heat. That's the thing about health is we kind of put health in the same category as technology. Like our technology is evolving so rapidly, information is evolving so rapidly that health, the way we approach health should too.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely.
And yet we haven't evolved at all. In 20,000 years, we've only evolved culturally. We've incorporated all this convenience of technology. But the things that heal our body and make our body strong and keep us going for the longest time are still the things that we did 20,000 years ago. Those are the best things.
Yeah, and millions of years ago. And just coming on to just on the subject of light, most people are deficient in D3, aren't they? Because we're not getting enough sunlight. And I think it's Dr. McCullough who said every single morning he'll go on a walk on the beach, make sure as much of his skin is exposed to the sunlight as possible with no sun cream on. No sun cream, just when the heat's kind of lower, or the sun shines lower, and just to get there's different types of rays, aren't there? The ones that are good for your health, and there's ones that aren't.
Yeah,
so good for your health.
People put all the wavelengths together, and they're not. There's basically killer wavelengths and there's healing wavelengths. Blue and UV ultraviolet are even though we have some evolutionary adaptation to these wavelengths, there's no doubt that they're killing us. They're way too high energy. They're too excitatory. So too much energy, free radical formation. Ultraviolet light is so high in energy. It's called ionizing radiation. So it literally tears your DNA apart. So it has mutagenic effects. We know this over time. It's the red near infrared that are restorative. It's the red and near infrared wavelengths that make you feel good. And it's the mitochondrial activation that's doing that. So when we get sad in the winter, it's near infrared red we're missing, not UV.
Interesting.
And in terms of like literally boosting your cell metabolism, literally giving you cell energy, that's near infrared red that does that, not blue.
Wow.
And basically nowadays, with this evolutionary adaptations with blue, those are all under the sun. So at least when we're under the sun and it's burning us, it's giving us the healing wavelengths. But the modern light sources that are energy efficient, we've removed the red near infrared component because it's wasteful from energy efficiency standpoint. But that was the part that healed us. And so now we have fluorescent LED lighting that's way too much blue and blue only light. So we're getting way overexposed with blue, and we're getting less red near infrared than we're designed to get, way less. And again, if you follow Dr. Mercola, you follow Dr. Jack Cruz, they'll tell you to get out in the sun, 3 or 4 hours a day, preferably naked. So this sounds charming, but it's not practical. The practical way to do this. Excuse me, sorry about that.
Lost you a second.
You still there?
Yep. We lost you for a second. You said the practical way.
Sorry about that. But yeah, the practical way to get near infrared red light back into your life is really with near infrared lamp sauna. This electric lamp, this 130-year-old technology, the incandescent lamp, is incandescent because it does what it's called incandescence. When you heat a material up really, really hot in nature, it begins to emit light naturally in a very precise pattern. And it's very easy to determine this using basic laws of physics called blackbody radiation. So the sun incandesces at 6,000 Kelvin, and we know it emits a full spectrum curve, and we know where it peaks, and we know what it emits, and you get all the wavelengths in the natural power distribution that we're designed to get. And with incandescent lamp, you get the same distribution, full spectrum, with the natural, again, power distributions of each wavelength. The only thing is, the incandescent lamp is a little bit cooler than the sun. And so what that does is it shifts the spectrum into lower energy, into red near infrared. So what that does is it means there's no blue or UV coming from these lamps. We only get red near infrared. So we get the light and the heat, both beneficial stimuli from the sun in the natural form, without this problematic blue and UV that we know damages us because it's just so high energy. So we say here that the incandescent lamp is better than the sun. And it's also better,
That's quite a claim.
It's quite a claim, but it's also better because it allows the modern human in the modern lifestyle, you're right here in your Western office, in your Western home, to return back to that ancestral human experience of natural light in its natural form and doing this passive sweating, this light and heat therapy, as we've evolved to get it in a nice modern package that's convenient. And that's my product. That's my brand. It's Sauna Space. That's what I've been kind of obsessively doing for the last 5 years, is trying to get everybody back to this ancestral experience of light and heat. It's not LED. It's not fluorescent. It's not far infrared. It's the old school incandescent lamp that it's still the most healthy man-made light technology available.
Awesome. So this is a great opportunity to now talk about your awesome product. By the way, his business is thriving like you wouldn't believe. It's really kind of taking off. You've done quite a few different expos, haven't you? And they just fly off the shelves.
Yeah, it's
so
we're just experiencing a lot of growth actually on all sides, and people are finally getting appreciation for this. And we have a great product now. It's field tested. I've got 5,000 or 6,000 customers. It's been 4 or 5 years in product development. It's lifetime warranted. It's what I wanted 5 or 6 years ago. It's got a sexy look now and very high quality. And we give people ample time to try it out. In the USA, it's free shipping. So it's kind of what the customer and product experience that I would have wanted. We offer.
Awesome.
If
you've got one on you, haven't you?
We have a few more minutes. My team is.
Let's do it. Oh, where's he gone? Brian, we lost you. Bear with me. You bear with me, please, people. I've lost Brian. Where's he gone? Come back, Brian. Come. Can we all send out some vibes to get Brian back? Brian. What if his phone died? Okay, I'm going to give it a few minutes. I'm hoping Brian comes back on, because he was just about to take us on a little tour of his company and show everyone how he makes these things. He's got about 14 employees now, I think, and it's really, really amazing what he's doing. So he's going to do a tour of the company, the manufacturing plant, and let us know how it's actually all put together. So I'm just hoping he's going to come back. So in case you've just joined, this is all about activating the mitochondria in the cells. It's a really great, really super effective way of detoxifying the body, detoxifying the cells. Brian just gave a fantastic explanation of how our cells require this infrared light, and none of us are getting this anymore. And it's just a super fast way to, detoxify the body, reverse inflammation. It helps with insomnia. It helps with adrenal fatigue. It helps with almost everything, because we are just made up of this giant cluster of cells, like trillions of cells. And when we look into the mechanics of what requires them to thrive, this is how we simplify health and vitality. And with Brian's creation, there's lots of dietary methods and being physically active and by managing emotions and stuff, but there's more to it with light. And a lot of us aren't getting enough decent light. Certainly if you're somewhere where it rains a lot, and like England. But so I'm hoping he's going to come back. I just don't know where he is. He's here. He might come back on. Oh, I think we've got him back. I think he's back. Brian. Brian. I'm losing people. Okay, so I think he's here. No, he's not. There we go.
I can confirm that.
So I will.
Hey, I'm so sorry, man. I wanted to be mobile, and my phone ran out of batteries.
Damn, I figured that might have happened.
I totally blew it.
That's all right.
We jump back up in, or how does this work?
Well, we're still going. I can do a little edit when I send this out, or people can see it. So while we're here, do you want to take us on a very quick little tour, or do you not have enough battery in your phone? You probably don't.
I want to see if you can just log in my Facebook Messenger.
How about you just show us now in front of the camera, because you got one of your your portable ones, haven't you?
Yeah, well, yeah. See if you can log in using my LastPass. I'll just show you this one.
Yeah.
So this is our newest product. Are we live?
Yep, we're live. Still live.
Yeah, this is our newest product. It's a single light panel, so you can kind of see it there. It's one lamp. So this is natural thermal light therapy, we call it. So it's a thermal light source. That's what the sun is. That's what the incandescent lamp is. So it's light and heat. We call it thermal light source. So the sauna is the full body therapy to detoxify, regenerate, and anti-age every cell of your body. It's the cornerstone of your health. In between those near-infrared sauna sessions, you can use this. It's called localized therapy. So same concept, just for localized afflictions. A headache, a menstrual cramps, neuropathy in the legs, gut pain, any sort of issues you're having. Heat, has that detoxifying effect. Light has this metabolism boosting and energizing and anti-aging, all these different effects of the mitochondrial systems. And you can do that locally to provide great relief. It's not just demonstrating our design, it's its own therapy. So we just came out with this. It's brand new. It's really, like I was saying, it's flying off the shelves. We're actually completely out of stock of it right now. And it's just really good design. So you can kind of see, this is what the incandescent lamp sauna uses. It's got a 250 watt heat lamp. We've got this guard on here to protect you from burning yourself. It's all hypoallergenic wood design. It's e-shielded. It's magnetically shielded, electrically shielded. So it's hypoallergenic, ultra low EMF, ultra low electric field. And it's using this big, huge incandescent heat lamp that produces a lot of light and a lot of heat. And still very energy efficient, really. So this you would shine on the naked body part for 10 to 60 minutes, many times a day. You can use up to 10 times a day. If it's in a carry-on, you can use it while you're working at the computer to reverse the effects of the blue light from the screen, or whenever you're watching TV or whatever. So it's all about getting back to that ancestral human experience. And here I'm doing it at my office in front of my computer.
Love it. It's one of the easiest ways to reactivate your cell health and get the
That's the thing. Is it's so simple. It's almost like people think it's unbelievable. I don't make any medical claims, of course, but if you look at some of our customer stories, we're seeing when you detoxify every cell of the body and you re-optimize cell functioning through daily, day in and day out, through these mitochondrial activation, eventually you see recovery in all things. I have customers that are, claiming recovery from MS, from fibromyalgia, from eczema, from cancer, from weird neuropathic issues of all different types, skin issues, adrenal fatigue, adrenal burnout, insulin resistance, which is a property of the heat shock. Actually, we see in one study when you heat shock the cell over time, again and again and again, you just keep heat shocking it, you reduce insulin resistance in that organism, and so that's the heat actually doing that. And then of course the heat in the neurons, the heat produces what's called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Yeah. So clearly there's improved cognitive functioning related to heat shocking the body. And we see that in sauna studies, we see that in cell, with humans, also with cell studies and animal studies. And then for the life, for its matter, we see in cell studies and in tissue studies, organism studies too, accelerated wound and muscle healing from near-infrared light. Improve recovery from neuropathy, whether it's heart attack, stroke, traumatic brain injury, TBI, and other just weird neuropathies. And so all that back to the fact that we're very generalized in how we're built. We all have mitochondria. We all have cells. Light and heat will improve the cell health. And when we do that in the whole body, we see recovery really from all things. And that is, so simple, and yet it's supported by the modern evidence. It's supported by our human tradition. Ancestral humans were out under the sun. There's even in some human cultures, there's what's called light eaters. So these are you may have heard of them. They sit in the light for 2 weeks, and they drink a little water, but they don't eat anything. But the light is actually
and they don't die.
And they don't die, and they don't emasculate. The light is actually feeding them as it's healing them, and a lot involved there. But you see, there's too many coincidences here. If you look at the solar radiation from the sun, so the wavelengths and power output from the sun that reaches the Earth, almost half of it is near-infrared light, like over 40%. If you look at the optical window of the human body, which is a little bit complicated, but basically water absorbs everything above 1100 nanometers or so. Hemoglobin, which is in our blood, absorbs everything below 600 nanometers or so. I'm being a little bit rough here, but basically there's this really narrow window of the body through which, or this narrow optical window that the wavelengths in this little window pass very deeply into the body and even all the way through sometimes. And that is 600 to 1100 nanometers, which is no coincidence, is red and near-infrared light. These are the same wavelengths that not only penetrate the deepest into the body, and different ones penetrate to varying degrees, but this is the optical window of the body. It almost perfectly aligns with the special wavelengths that stimulate mitochondrial systems. So the same wavelengths, the majority of the wavelengths of the sun, or a huge portion, are the same special wavelengths that penetrate up to 9 inches human tissue. The only wavelengths, by the way, that are shown to penetrate bone tissue. And these are the very same wavelengths, red and near-infrared, that are the only ones that stimulate these mitochondrial healing systems, because these are the only wavelengths that special light receptor protein absorbs. So this is fancy quantum mechanical stuff, but this is too many coincidences. Obviously, this is like it's what do you want to call it? Providential. It's evolutionary design. It's nature's design. We're taking advantage of this huge stimulus that's been in our life, in our waking, in our life as humans forever, and we're using it for many things. We're using it to heal. We're using it for energy. We're using the heating and thermal infrared wavelengths. Those are the ones, again, absorbed by water that heat us. We're using those to detoxify, and you can even go deeper. There's some evidence that the mitochondria communicates with the nucleus of the cell with near-infrared wavelengths. So we're seeing intracellular communication using near-infrared light. We also know that near-infrared wavelengths structure water, which means that they make water nutrient delivery more efficient. So these are, that's not mitochondrial stimulation, but that's a clear evolutionary adaptation, or it's a benefit of getting near-infrared light into our cells. It's making the water bring the nutrients faster wherever it's going, in between the cells and inside the cell. So all these things are happening, and you look at it and you're like, whoa, light is a nutrient, but it's the right type of light. It's good quality light, and that's the focus. How do we get good quality light into our daily life? That's with my products. It's also with minimizing your exposure to blue light, using blue light blockers and filters whenever you can, and having respect for evolution that hasn't changed for a long time, just culturally. We've changed.
Love that. I love that. Brian, that's super cool. And that's making me want to go and just sit in the sun all day long. But it's, where can they find you? I mean, this creation, anyone can have in their own home. You've got the portable devices. You've got the more kind of permanent devices. So saunaspace.com, isn't it, your website? And
saunaspace.com. You just Google SaunaSpace. We're right there. Nobody makes anything like what we make. It's very unique in design, execution, and beauty, and functionality. It's so easy to heal and re-optimize yourself. You just sit on your lazy butt, in my sauna, in the comfort of your home. What could be better than that? You don't have to go to the gym, to get these things. It's something that you do very conveniently at home. You can, of course, go to the gym, but that doesn't replace this. You don't heal at the gym. You're stressing out the body for performance enhancement aspects, athletic performance enhancement. But
you heal afterwards.
But you heal afterward, in the sauna, and preferably near-infrared sauna. So there's so much to talk about. maybe we'll talk about more later. If my battery doesn't die next time, maybe I'll show you the shop. Everybody just clocked out, but we got a whole team of people here working like crazy to make what we make here and bring it to the world.
Very cool. Brian, I think you're doing a fantastic thing and clearly getting incredible results for people. So high five to you, big way. And yeah, thank you. So for anyone wanting one of these, there's no excuse now. Just get one of these. No excuses to not use this. It's just really super cool. Saunaspace.com is his website. And I'm actually going to post a link under this as well. And just see for yourself how amazing they are, because the case studies are just phenomenal. Brian, thank you again. It's been really interesting, insightful. I've learned a lot. I hope other people have too. It gets quite complicated, but when you really break it down, I think we can really simplify things. So
yeah. There's a lot to talk about, but it is simple. It is. You keep things simple. Simple things are the most effective in terms of health, and the least risky. And that's sort of the well-known secret that conventional medicine doesn't want you to know. They can't patent light. You can patent lighting devices maybe, but you can't patent light. You can't patent food. And these are the
plants. Can't patent plants.
You shouldn't be able to, but
well, yeah. You just ban cannabis and patent other stuff. Anyway, controversial. But thank you, Brian. This is awesome. And thanks, I invite everyone to go to saunaspace.com, and I'll post a link underneath if you want to buy one of these things. He's out of stock now. That's how popular this is becoming. Cheers, Brian. I'll end the broadcast and we can stay on.
Cheers.
Thanks everyone for watching.